There are towns that can't be found on maps, not because they don't exist, but because no one would ever think places like these could be found. Places where the cold almost makes it hard to breathe, where roads disappear, or where houses cling to rocks, mountains, or seemingly impossible valleys. While the world focuses on big cities, there are still communities that continue to live far from civilization, surrounded by ice, steep cliffs, forests, or silence. Today, we will take a look at the 12 most hidden towns in the world. These are real places where people can live, but they are so far and so hard to reach that it's hard to believe they still exist. But before we start, if you're new to our channel, subscribe! Subscribe now so you'll always be updated with videos like this. Monemvasia, Greece. Monemvasia is an ancient town built on top of a massive rock facing the Aegean Sea. Its location is very remote and unique, so for many centuries, there was only one way to enter it. In fact, the name Monemvasia literally means single entrance. It was founded in the 6th century by Byzantine settlers who were fleeing from invasions. They chose this place because it was easy to defend and almost impossible to invade. From a distance, Monemvasia doesn't immediately look like a town. It just looks like another mountain rising from the sea. But when you pass through its narrow entrance, it's as if the modern world suddenly disappears. There are no vehicles or wide roads. Instead, you'll see narrow stone paths, old houses, and walls that have survived for many centuries. These walls have witnessed the sieges of the Byzantines, Venetians, and Ottomans. Even today, there are people living here, but there's still a strange feeling, as if this place wasn't really built to be easily found, but rather to remain hidden. Ittoqqortoormiit, Greenland. Ittoqqortoormiit is one of the most remote villages in the world. It is located on the eastern part of Greenland, one of the hardest places to reach in the Arctic. For most of the year, it is almost surrounded by sea ice. The town was founded in 1925, and now only a few hundred people live here. There are no roads connecting it to other communities. It can only be reached by helicopter or ship, and traveling by ship is only possible for a few weeks each year when the ice has receded enough. Here, it's winter almost all year round. Extreme cold, long periods of darkness, and intense isolation from other places are all part of daily life. This, Ittoqqortoormiit, is not just a hidden town. This proves how far people are willing to go to live in places that seem incompatible with life. Castellfollit de la Roca, Spain. Castellfollit de la Roca was built on top of a narrow cliff formed by volcanic activity. It is a very high wall of basalt, almost 50 meters tall, and is located between two rivers. From a distance, the whole town looks like it's hanging in midair. It's as if there's barely enough space for a settlement on top of it. The community was formed by using the natural features of the place as a kind of defense. For many centuries, living on top of the rock provided protection against raids and river floods. But they faced a different problem: getting here. The journey to this place was long and difficult, so the town remained isolated from its neighboring areas. Even today, it remains very small. A main road and houses lined up along the edge of the cliff. Castellfollit de la Roca is not hidden because it is far away. It is hidden because of its own geography. A town that can be seen from several kilometers away. But it was built in a place where no one would expect a community to be established. Iruya, Argentina. Iruya is a small town in northern Argentina. It is located at an altitude of more than 2,700 meters above sea level. It is nestled in a narrow valley of the Eastern Cordillera and surrounded by steep mountains. There is also a river that runs through it, which during the rainy season can completely block the road leading to the town. For much of the 20th century, it could only be reached by rocky roads that were extremely dangerous. You had to cross rivers and pass through areas that were prone to landslides. Even today, travel to this place still depends on the weather. and normal access to the town is not always possible. The houses made of adobe and stone are scattered along the mountainside, following the natural shape of the land. At the very top, there is a church from the 17th century, which can be seen from almost any part of the valley. Because of this, the church became the main landmark and center of the entire community. In Iruya, life has long depended on the mountains, on being isolated from other places, and on the difficulty of connecting with the outside world. Undredal, Norway. Undredal is a very small town located on the edge of the Orleans Fjord, surrounded by steep mountains. Because of its location, the town has long remained isolated from other communities. Just a few decades ago, the only way to get here was by boat, following the narrow fjord. The road to Undredal was only built in the late 20th century. And even with a road, the community remains trapped between steep rock walls and the water. They have very little space for the town to grow or expand. Undredal is known for its very small population and for having one of the smallest wooden churches in Norway, built in the 12th century. The houses are clustered together on a narrow strip of land, with the fjord on one side and the mountain on the other. Geography has greatly shaped the development of Undredal, including its size, its isolation from other places, and the way of life of its residents. Mosul, is a village in the mountains of northern Iran, in a cold, humid, and thickly forested part of the Alborz Mountains. This place has a history of more than 1,000 years. Its location was chosen because of the need to fully adapt to the very steep slopes of the mountain. Here, there are almost no roads like the ones we see in typical towns. The houses are built on different levels, and the roof of one house serves as a pathway or like a terrace for the house above it. The whole town is arranged vertically, following the slope of the mountain. Because of this, vehicles cannot pass through most parts of the community, and people have to walk. The buildings, made of mud, wood, and stone, are excellently integrated into the natural shape of the land, as if they are simply part of the mountain itself. The whole of Mosul is known for its unique stepped architecture, where the entire town becomes like a system of interconnected layered pathways. Bulnes, Spain. Bulnes is a small town located in the heart of the Picos de Europa, surrounded by towering stone walls. Because of this, it has remained completely isolated from other communities for many centuries. Until the beginning of the 21st century, it had no roads accessible to vehicles. The only way to get here was to walk along a difficult mountain path, or ride animals used for carrying goods. This long period of isolation shaped the development of the town. The community was divided into two separate parts because of the significant difference in elevation of the land. The stone houses were adapted to the shape of the mountain and designed to withstand the harsh climate in the highland areas. Today, you can reach this place using a funicular built inside the mountain, but Bulnes still retains the feeling of a remote community, surrounded by high mountains, silence, and a geography that explains why it remained one of the most difficult towns to reach in Spain for so long. Ushguli, Georgia. Ushguli is a group of small villages located in the Svaneti region in the Georgian Caucasus, at an altitude of more than 2,100 meters above sea level. It is considered one of the highest permanently inhabited settlements in Europe. It is known for its ancient defensive towers built between the 9th and 12th centuries. The towers were used as shelters against raids and battles. In a place where remoteness is a great advantage, extreme isolation became an important part of life. But the climate is one of the biggest challenges here. Heavy snowfall can close the roads for several months, almost completely isolating Ushguli from the rest of the world. The difficulty of getting here has also helped preserve the ancient architecture and the traditional way of life of the residents. The stone houses scattered throughout the valley show how people have adapted to the high altitude, extreme cold, and the need to be almost self-sufficient in one of the harshest environments in the Caucasus. Popeye Village, Malta Popeye Village, did not start as a traditional village. It was built in 1979 as the filming location for the movie Popeye, starring Robin Williams. It was built in a secluded cove surrounded by cliffs, and the location was chosen because of its natural features. After the filming of the movie, the set was not demolished. The wooden houses remained, and eventually it became a small and hidden tourist attraction. From the outside, it's almost unnoticeable. You can only see it clearly when you go down to the bay. Although it's not a historic community, its location is still important. It's a secluded part of Malta's coast, surrounded by rocky walls and with limited access. It's more of a village hidden by its location than by time. Popeye Village is a great example of how a secluded place can almost accidentally become a town or community. Longyearbyen, Norway. Longyearbyen is the largest settlement in the Svalbard archipelago and one of the northernmost permanently inhabited places in the world. It is located more than 1,000 kilometers from North Norway, in an Arctic environment where ice, long periods of darkness, and extreme cold are part of everyday life. There are no roads connecting this place to other communities. It can only be reached by plane or ship, and traveling can be very difficult when the weather is bad. For some months of the year, the sun doesn't even rise. At other times, it hardly sets. Life in Longyearbyen has unique rules because of the extreme environmental conditions. For example, people are not allowed to be buried here because the permanently frozen ground can prevent the normal decomposition of bodies. It is also common for people to carry guns when going outside the central part of town because of the possibility of encountering polar bears. More than just a remote village, Longyearbyen is a community of people who have learned to live in one of the harshest environments in the world. Gasa-Gazadalur, Faroe Islands. Gasa-Gazadalur is a small village on the island of Vagar, surrounded by steep mountains and cliffs. For many centuries, it was almost completely isolated from the rest of the Faroe Islands because of its very hard-to-reach location. Until recently, it had no road directly connecting it to the outside world. For many generations, the only way to get here was to walk along a dangerous mountain path, or to take a boat if the weather conditions allowed. Because of this, Gazadalur became one of the most difficult places to reach in the Faroe Islands. The village is known for its beautiful yet dramatic location, where the houses are scattered overlooking the ocean. You can also see a waterfall here that falls directly into the sea, coming from the nearby cliffs. It was only in 2004 that a tunnel dug inside the mountain was opened. For the first time, Gazadalur finally had a direct connection to other parts of the island. However, there is still a sense that this is a remote place shaped by the strong winds of the North Atlantic and centuries of isolation. Hallstatt, Austria. Hallstatt is an alpine town located between a near-vertical mountainside and the shore of Lake Hallstatt. For many centuries, because of its geography, the town was almost isolated, and there was very little space for building or expansion. It also didn't have direct road access back then. For a long time, the only way to get here was by boat, across the lake, or via mountain paths. The lack of connection to other places shaped the town's development. The residents were forced to build on a very narrow strip of land, so the houses seem to be stacked on top of each other as they climb up the side of the mountain. Hallstatt is one of the oldest inhabited communities in Europe. There is evidence of human activity in this area from more than 7,000 years ago, mainly related to mining and manufacturing. In fact, it gave its name to what is called the Hallstatt culture, an important culture in European history. Today, Hallstatt is known all over the world, but its unique location explains why, for many centuries, it was very difficult to reach, and why the surrounding landscape had such a big impact on the way of life here. While big cities have increasingly become the center of the world, These towns show that people have long known how to adapt, even in places that seem impossible to live in. They were not built to be easily reached or seen on maps, but to survive and cope with their environment. The rocks, mountains, ice, cliffs, and valleys surrounded by steep areas have not been obstacles for these communities. Instead, these very things are part of the reason why these communities were formed and have endured. In each case, their isolation from other places was not simply chosen. It is a direct result of the place where they live. And now tell me, if you could live in one of these towns, which one would you choose and why? Put your answer in the comments. If you want to keep discovering the most extreme and unique corners of the world, subscribe and join us on the next journey